because of the mother.
Holy mother of all the mothers in the
Yeah.
whole motherland.
I've got a halt to Diddy's indictment. It's been unsealed, and I'm gonna go over it. Yes, it's real, and I wouldn't show y'all some bullshit. I wouldn't do that. It's signed and everything. The last page. This is the first page. This is as big as I can get it, I think. I mean, I can do this. That's as big as I can get it. All right. So it's got his name, all of his aliases. Count one, racketeering conspiracy. The grand jury charges for decades Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka, you get it. The defendant abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on the employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Number two, Sean Combs, aka the defendant, operated his business headquartered at various times in Manhattan and Los Angeles under a variety of United States-based corporate entities, including Bad Boy, that's page one, page two, Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs Global, collectively the Combs business. Corporate entities in the Combs business included, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business, a marketing agency, and a television network and media company. Number three, at all times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs, aka the defendant, engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse toward women and other individuals. This abuse was, at times, verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of activity with male commercial workers. At times, Combs and others acting at his direction made arrangements for women and commercial workers to fly to Combs' location. Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same, and using intimidation and violence. Number four, physical abuse by Sean Combs, aka all his aliases, the defendant, was recurrent and widely known. On numerous occasions from at least on or about 2009 and continuing for years, Combs assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them. These assaults were at times witnessed by others and included one instance at a Los Angeles hotel in or about March 2016, which was captured on video and later publicly reported, where Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman, which we all saw that video. I did. Y'all let me know if y'all did, as she was attempting to leave. When a member of the hotel security staff intervened, Combs attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. As page two, Combs' violence was also not limited to these women. It extended to his employees, witnesses to his abuse, and others. Number five, Sean Combs, all his aliases, the defendant, used the Combs business, including certain employees, to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse and commercial Those employees, including security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors and other close associates, acted as Combs' intermediaries, and their conduct was facilitated and assisted by Combs' control of the Combs business. The Combs enterprise. Number six, from at least on or about 2008 or in or about 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment. This indictment was filed on September 12th this year. Sean Combs, aka all of his aliases, the defendant, and others known and unknown, were members and associates of a criminal organization, in parentheses, the Combs Enterprise or the Enterprise. Members and associates of the Combs Enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other activities, trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Number 7, the Combs Enterprise, including its leadership, its members, and its associates, constituted an enterprise as defined by Title 18, United States Code, Section 196. You get it. That is a group of individuals associated, in fact, although not a legal entity. The Combs Enterprise consisted of Sean Combs, all his aliases, the defendant, entities within the Combs business, including but not limited to Bad. That's page 3. Here's page 4. Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs Global. Individuals employed by and associated with the Combs business and others known and unknown. Number 8. The Combs Enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members function as a continuing unit for a common purpose of achieving the objectives of the Combs Enterprise. The Combs Enterprise was engaged in and its activities affected interstate and foreign commerce. The Combs Enterprise operated in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere. Number 9. At all times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs, aka all of his aliases, the defendant, was the leader of the Combs Enterprise. Number 10. Sean Combs, aka all of his aliases, the defendant, and others known and unknown, participated in unlawful and other activities related to the conduct of the Combs Enterprises affairs. These individuals included certain Combs business employees, such as members of Combs security staff, household staff, personal assistants, high-ranking supervisors, as well as other close associates of Combs. This is crazy. What do y'all think about this so far? Okay. This is purposes of the Combs Enterprise. Number 11, the purposes of the Combs Enterprise included the following. 11A, operating a global business in the media, entertainment, and lifestyle industries, including, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business, a marketing agency, and a television network and media company. 11B, preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power, reputation, and brand of Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, as a musician, entrepreneur, and figure in the entertainment industry. All right, page 4. Page 5. 11C. Enriching members and associates of the enterprise, including its leader, Combs, and in particular those who demonstrated loyalty to Combs and willingness to conceal his crimes. 11D. Preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power of the Combs enterprise, including the power of its leader, Combs, through violence, use of firearms, threats of violence, coercion, and verbal, emotional, physical, and abuse. 11E. Fulfilling the personal desires of Combs, particularly those related to Combs' gratification, including through the exploitation of women and the use of commercial workers. 11F. Enabling Combs and other members and associates of the Combs enterprise to engage in unlawful acts of violence, including violence, trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics distribution, and other crimes, and concealing the commission of such acts. 11G. Securing absolute loyalty from members of the Combs enterprise, including through acts of violence and threats. And 11H. Protecting the Combs enterprise and its members and associates, including Combs, from detection and prosecution by law enforcement authorities through acts of intimidation, manipulation, bribery, and threats of retaliation against individuals who witnessed the crimes committed by members and associates of the enterprise. Means and methods of the enterprise. Number 12. Among the means and methods by which Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, all of his aliases, the defendant, and other members, and that's page 5. Page 6. Associates of the Combs enterprise conducted and participated in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise included the following. 12A. Combs and other members and associates of the Combs enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended S acts with male commercial S workers that Combs referred to as, among other things, freak offs. Freak offs were elaborate and produced S performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak offs, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of the Combs enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial S workers across state lines and internationally. This motherfucker going to prison forever. Forever. That's what he called his parties, were freak offs. That's what he called them. These freak offs occur regularly, sometimes lasting multiple days, and often involve multiple commercial S workers. During freak offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, in part to keep the victims obedient and compliant. Sometimes, unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos he filmed of victims engaging in S acts with commercial S workers. After freak offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. 12B. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including high-ranking supervisors, security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and other Combs business employees, facilitated these freak offs by, among other things, booking hotel rooms for them, stocking the hotel rooms in advance with the required freak off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, and lighting, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak offs to try to mitigate room damage, arranging for travel for victims, commercial S workers, and Combs to and from the freak offs, resupplying Combs with requested supplies, delivering large sums of cash to Combs to pay the commercial S workers, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids. In or about March 2024, during searches of Combs' residences in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California, law enforcement seized various freak off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Okay. 12C. Combs subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse to cause the victims to engage in the freak offs. Combs maintained control over his victims through, among other things, physical violence, promises of career opportunities, granting and threatening to withhold financial support, and by other coercive means, including dictating the victim's appearance, monitoring their medical records, controlling their housing, and supplying them with controlled substances. During and separate from freak offs, Combs, among other things, hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims at times by their hair. These assaults often resulted in injuries that took days or weeks to heal. Combs also threatened victims' careers and livelihoods, including if they resisted participating in them. Victims believed they could not refuse Combs' demands without risking their financial or job security, or without repercussions in the form of physical or emotional abuse. Combs also used the sensitive, embarrassing, and incriminating recordings that he made during these as collateral to ensure the continued disobedience and silence of the victims. What are y'all thinking? I can't believe, Clip, that you hadn't heard of the freak offs. Like, it's one of the major things he did and recorded. That's what he called his white parties. 12D. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including Combs security personnel, at times carry firearms. On more than one occasion, Combs himself carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten others, including victims of and witnesses to his abuse. In or about March 2024, during searches of Combs' residences in Miami, Florida, and Page 8, Los Angeles, California, law enforcement seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, as well as a drum magazine. Well, damn. 12E. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise enabled Combs control over victims by following his directions regarding financial payments to victims, advancing or suppressing the victim's career opportunities, and acquiring the controlled substances Combs used to keep the victims compliant. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise at times witnessed Combs' violence towards the victims or the victims' injuries caused by Combs without intervening. Instead, members and associates of the Combs enterprise helped conceal the violence and abuse by, among other things, assisting Combs in monitoring and preventing victims from leaving locations such as hotels or Combs residences. These occasions included instances in which a victim was required to remain in hiding, sometimes for several days at a time, to recover from injuries Combs inflicted without being publicly observed. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise also assisted Combs in locating and contacting victims who attempted to flee his abuse. 12F. When employees, witnesses to his abuse, or others threatened Combs' authority or reputation, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise engaged in acts of violence, threats of violence, threats of financial and reputational harm, and verbal abuse. These acts of violence included kidnapping and arson. In addition, on multiple occasions, Combs threw both objects and people, as well as hit, dragged, choked, and shoved others. 12G. When Combs' authority or reputation was threatened by the possibility of negative publicity or legal or law enforcement action against him, including in or about late 2023, following public allegations of Combs' crimes, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise pressured witnesses and victims, including through attempted bribery, to stay silent and, here's page 9, not report what they experienced or knew to law enforcement. On phone calls, Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise, among other things, provided these victims and witnesses with a false narrative of events in an effort to conceal Combs' crimes. Combs caused these calls to be recorded on at least 2 occasions. Definitely is at Diddy's house. He gone for life. That's what I'm saying. Next is the racketeering conspiracy. 13. From at least in or about 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka all of his aliases, the defendant, and others known and unknown, being persons employed by and associated with the Combs enterprise described in paragraphs 6 through 12 of this indictment, an enterprise engaged in and the activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly combined, conspired, confederated, and agreed together and with each other to violate the racketeering laws of the United States, to with Title 18 United States Code Section 1962C, that is, to conduct and participate directly and indirectly in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity as that term is defined in Title 18 United States Code Sections 1961 and 1961-5, consisting of 13A, multiple acts involving kidnapping, chargeable under the following provisions of state law: California Penal Code 207, kidnapping; California Penal Code 21A 664, attempt; California Penal Code 31, aiding and abetting; and California Penal Code 182, conspiracy. 13B, multiple acts involving arson, chargeable under the following provisions of state law. And it gives all the penal codes that they use. Page 10. 13C, multiple acts involving bribery, chargeable under the following provisions of state law. It gives all the California penal codes. 13D, multiple acts indictable under Title 18, gives it relating to tampering with a witness, victim, or an informant. 13E, multiple acts indictable under Title 18 United States Code, blah, blah, and it's relating to forced labor. 13F, multiple acts indictable under, it gives the code relating to trafficking. 13G, multiple acts indictable under Title 18, it gives the code relating to transportation and inducement to travel for purposes of prostitution and other illegal S activities. And 13H, multiple offenses involving the possession with intent to distribute or distribution of narcotics and controlled substances, including cocaine, oxycodone, alprazolam, which is Xanax, methylene, deoxymethamphetamine, so methamphetamine. Number 4, bromo 2,5-demethoxyphenethylamine. I don't know what the fuck that is. Gamma hydroxybutyric acid and ketamine in violation of Title 21 United States Code, blah, blah. Distribution and possession with intent to distribute and conspiracy to do the same, and aiding, abetting, and willfully causing. 14. It was a part of the conspiracy that Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, all of his aliases, the defendant, agreed that a conspirator would, we're almost done, page 11, commit at least 2 acts of racketeering activity in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise. Notice of special sentencing factor. 15. From at least in or about 2009 up to and including in or about 2018 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, as part of his agreement to conduct and participate in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka all of his aliases, the defendant, agreed to, in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain, advertise, maintain, patronize, and solicit by any means a person knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion as described in Title 18 United States Code Section 159E2, and any combination of such means will be used to cause the person to engage in a commercial S act in violation of Title 18, gives the code. That's just count 1. Holy shit. Oh my God. This is really bad. All right. Count 2. S trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Victim 1. The grand jury further charges. Number 16. From at least in or about 2009 up to and including in or about 2018 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka all of his aliases, the defendant, in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, provided, obtained, advertised, maintained, patronized, and solicited by any means a person knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion as described in Title 18. It gives the code. Page 12. And any combination of such means would be used to cause the person to engage in a commercial S act, and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, and maintained a person, victim 1, and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused victim 1 to engage in commercial S acts, knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that victim 1 was engaging in commercial S acts as a result of force, fraud, and coercion, and it gives the United States Code and title that it violates. Count 3. Transportation to engage in prostitution. The grand jury further charges number 17. From at least in or about 2009 up to and including in or about 2024 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka all of his aliases, the defendant, knowingly transported an individual in interstate and foreign commerce with intent that the individual engage in prostitution, and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs transported, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the transportation of female victims and commercial S workers in interstate and foreign commerce on multiple occasions with the intent that they engage in prostitution. And it gives the title and code and all that. Forfeiture allegations. Number 18, as a result of committing the offense alleged in count 1 of this indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka all of his aliases, the defendant shall forfeit to the United States, pursuant to Title 18 United States Code Section 1963, any and all interests the defendant acquired and maintained in violation of Title 18. Number 13, page 13. States Code, Section 1962. Any and all interest in securities of, claims against, and property or contractual rights of any kind affording a source of influence over the enterprise named and described herein, which the defendant established, operated, controlled, conducted, and participated in the conduct of in violation of Title 18 United States Code, Section 1962, and any and all property constituting and derived from proceeds obtained directly and indirectly said offense, including but not limited to a sum of money in United States currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense. Holy shit. Number 19. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count 2 of this indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka all of his aliases, the defendant shall forfeit to the United States, pursuant to Title 18 United States Code Section 1594, any and all property, real and personal, involved in, used, or intended to be used to commit or to facilitate the commission of said offense, and any and all property traceable to such property, any and all property, real and personal, constituting or derived from proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of said offense, including but not limited to a sum of money in United States currency representing the amount of property involved in said offense and proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense. Number 20. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count 3 of this indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, all of his aliases, shall forfeit to the United States, pursuant to Title 18 United States Code Section 2428, any and all property, real and personal, constituting or derived from proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of said offense, and any and all property, real or personal, that was used or intended to be used to commit or facilitate the commission of said offense, and Title 18 United States Code Section 98A1C and Title 28 United States Code Section 2461. One more page. And all property, real and personal, that constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense, including but not limited to a sum of money in United States currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense. Substitute assets provision. Number 21. If any of the above described forfeitable property as a result of any act or omission of the defendant, 21A, cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, B, has been transferred or sold to or deposited with a third person, C, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court, D, has been substantially diminished in value, or E, has been commingled with other property which cannot be subdivided without difficulty. It is the intent of the United States, pursuant to Title 18 United States Code 19, Section 1963M, Title 21, all the codes, to seek forfeiture of any other property of the defendant up to the value of the above forfeitable property. And it's got all the codes, and it's signed by a United States attorney. So yeah, this is crazy. So that's Diddy's indictment. My favorite R&B song happens to be by the two fuck faces that we shouldn't listen to. And it pisses me the fuck off. I don't listen to Diddy, any of his stuff from like currently, but that one song by him and R. Kelly was my favorite R&B song, bro. It's called Satisfy You. Yeah, I know about, yeah, it's sad. Makes you think about all the people he's put on the scene in rap R&B. Some weirdo shit going on in the industry. Facts. What are y'all's thoughts on Jaguar Wright? She's the one that came out and exposed R. Kelly before he was arrested. Exposed Diddy before all the stuff really came to light. I like Jaguar Wright. I don't see it as a snitch. I don't see her as a snitch at all. If a motherfucker is violating young boys, which he did allegedly with Usher, allegedly maybe Justin Bieber, were children. Usher was 14 when he went to live with Diddy. I don't understand his parents, but whatever. I like Jaguar Wright. At first, I thought she was a little crazy, and then when shit started coming out that she had already said, I was like, well, damn. Okay. Exactly. Snitching goes out the window when children are involved. 100%. Children are involved, you ain't snitching. You're doing a good deed. Now, if you get caught with a sack of weed and they take you into jail and question you and you tell them where you got the weed, that's snitching. And that I don't rock with. What do y'all think about Gene Deal, which was Diddy's bodyguard? He been out here telling all the business. So they raided him in March, and it took him till September. It took 6 months to indict him. Facts. I love Cat Williams. Love Cat Williams. He said all truths will be exposed in 2024. If that means TD Jakes, which we heard all about TD Jakes. He said if Diddy wants to party, you gotta tell him no. Exactly. It takes time. It takes time. When you're indicting someone over such serious allegations, you want to make sure your case is rock solid, especially when you're indicting someone as powerful as P. Diddy.